Hi there, I'm Timothy Linsdau, video producer, Christian. Today I'd like to provide a short memorial for my brother Tom, who passed away on Monday evening, surrounded by his family, which at home, which was a blessing. Like and comment on my video and subscribe to support my channel. It'd be terrific. Well, in these times we all have to face with the loss of our loved ones. It's a difficult thing. It's the finality of it. Maybe the things you didn't say you should have said, and things you didn't do that you should have done. But then all of a sudden you think of all the good times and interesting times that happened in a person's lifetime. He had just turned 80 years old on the September 17th, born 1939. Just think of that, just before America went into World War II. So he lived through the last half of the 20th century and almost the first 20 years of the next century. So saw quite a bit, did quite a bit. He had 4 kids, 3 daughters, 1 son, and hopefully I got this number right, but 7 grandchildren, something like that. Forgive me if I got that number wrong, but it's close to that. Tried many things with his wife Diane over 50 years of marriage. What a great accomplishment. I mean, they tried numerous places to live, numerous vocations, but it was an interesting life. He was born in Wisconsin, and of course our parents, Dorothy and Merritt, they loved to travel and go to different places, and of course the kids went along. And they moved from Wisconsin to Florida, so Tom had a lot of memories of Florida. And then our folks took us and moved to Wyoming, and there were all kinds of experiences in Wyoming. One of them, he liked to recall his experience of my dad was a logger, worked in the woods, and Tom went with him at least one summer and cooked for my dad. He was took care of they lived in a tent in the mountains, and he took care of that part of it for my dad, so my dad could get the job done cutting trees down. And it was quite an experience. Had stories of different things that happened to him, and it was an exciting moment in his life, I'm sure. Very strong Christian man. I'd always had aspirations to be a minister. Went to school, went to college for it. I want to mention he graduated with his brother in Hannah, Wyoming. Now, why is that significant? Well, small coal town, probably virtually a ghost town now. So we had that history of what that was like to go to high school in a little town like that. But anyway, eventually went to college to be a minister. Discovered it wasn't exactly where he belonged. Became a lay minister, which is more like an assistant pastor. And that was difficult because he was put in a position to be a pastor without actually being one, but more of an assistant pastor, which had its challenges. I could never be a pastor, have a strong Christian faith, but it takes special people to be that. And not that Tom wasn't a special person in his own way, as we all are. So we spent some time together, which was enjoyable, in Jackson, Wyoming, one of the most beautiful places in the world. It's a heck of an experience to have lived there. Tom and Dan had some successes. They were able to buy property, which was not easy to do there, especially now. Became landlords with property and lived there long enough until cold winters eventually encouraged them to move to a warmer place. So my brother and I, we were both laid off in our jobs at the same time, so we traveled to San Diego to see. He and Diane had been down here working at the Home of Guiding Hands for the kids who are mentally challenged, whatever words you got to use today, and worked in taking care of these kids in a couple of places at least. One time up in above San Francisco also. So they had many different experiences of caring for people. Then they ended up back down in San Diego when I and my family came to live here. And so they came down here and made a life of it here in San Diego. Wonderful place to live. And he finally had an opportunity to go to a technical school and became a computer tech, and went to work for a company that made court reporting equipment. And he became one of their inspectors. He inspected the computer device, whatever they were using. He inspected them before they went to be shipped out. And that turned out to be a terrific opportunity for him because he came down with rheumatoid arthritis. And he had that for 40 years of his life before he passed on, which is a very difficult thing to contend with. Causes all kinds of pain in your joints and multiple other issues that he had to live with and struggle with. But he went with it as long as he could. I remember he used to really like to garden, and he'd get out in the yard and garden as much as he could till they became too difficult. His latter years, it was much harder for him to cope with that, with the pain and multiple symptoms that come with that. But he loved his family and stayed active in any way he could, which was pretty difficult stuff. But the help with his kids and his wife Diane, he lived in as comfortable as he could and made the most of that. So him and his family had been in a lot of places, and of course, same with my experience with our folks living in a lot of places. It made for an interesting life to do that. Probably a bit nomadic, if you will, which can be kind of painful sometimes for family members, but we loved seeing and doing different things, an eclectic desire, I guess, to see and do different things, but always a solid foundation as Christians to understand life, and the beginning and ending of life, to have faith that we will meet again in heaven. To know that is very comforting, and to be sure of that is even more comforting. And not something we take as a fairy tale, but the real history really exists. God really exists. So we'll have some time to memorialize him and still have connections with his kids and Diane, which is really great. I have three brothers, Jerry, Tom, Jim. And you have equal love, as I do, for all of them. Each one has their own special place in your life, and Tom had a special place. And talking about our faith was an important part of our lives together. So God bless him. God bless his family in this difficult time. But this time comes for all of us. So one should be prepared to meet your Maker. That is very important. So thank you. Thank you for listening. It's difficult for all of us, but he's now at peace, and and found the joy we all hope for. So thank you. Like and comment on the video. Subscribe to my channel if you would. That'd be terrific. And even in these difficult times, get out there and just make it a great day.